That's starting to come out in the early days of the Diddy trial. This, of course, is P. Diddy. Surprise, surprise, he's a creep. Surprise, surprise, he's done horrible things.
When the devil comes at you, maybe it's because you're trying to do...
Experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost...
I didn't have anything against Oprah.
You just called her a
I'm gonna tell you why.
You named your dog Oprah, didn't you?
Yeah.
As by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things.
Imagine this. Behind the flashing lights and red carpet smiles, Hollywood's biggest names are caught in a wild maze of betrayal and explosive secrets. We're talking major names: Denzel Washington, Oprah Winfrey, and Sean Diddy Combs.
27th, 1975, a prophet named Ruth Green prophesied that I would travel the world and preach to millions.
All tangled in a messy saga of power plays, shady morals, and backroom truths that no one saw coming. And Denzel? He's done playing nice. Behind his cool, calm image, sources say he's fed up with the fake energy in the industry, and he's calling folks out. Word is, he's been throwing shade both in private and not-so-private circles. His targets? Oprah and Diddy. Insiders claim Denzel thinks Oprah's playing two-faced, always preaching truth and empowerment, but allegedly choosing her rich connections over real integrity.
Violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers described the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious trafficking charges in a New York.
And as for Diddy, Denzel sees him as everything wrong with the game. Flashy, reckless, and wrapped up in too many dirty dealings. Now here's where it gets wild. Denzel's normally the silent type when it comes to drama, but not this time. Behind closed doors, he's reportedly been bold, calling them out as symbols of a system he can't respect anymore. And the tension? It exploded when Diddy's name got tied to those dark, disturbing allegations. And this? It's just the beginning. The accusations? Straight up chilling. We're talking human trafficking, coercion, and abuse, all tied to Diddy.
I'm just like really, I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck during those years. You're still stuck 21.
One of the boldest voices speaking out is none other than Cassie Ventura, the R&B singer and Diddy's ex. She stepped into federal court and didn't hold back. Her testimony exposed a disturbing side of their relationship, backed by graphic messages that left the courtroom stunned. Prosecutors painted a dark picture, accusing Diddy of running what they called freak-off parties. These weren't just wild Hollywood get-togethers. They were controlled setups with multiple people involved, allegedly designed to feed Diddy's need for control.
Of coming forward, they've been afraid of what he could potentially do to them within the industry, what he could do to them professionally, maybe even personally. And so yes, it's been a dark secret they've held on to for a very, very long time.
According to Cassie, he used threats, mind games, and pure psychological pressure to trap his partners and keep them loyal. And now? The heat around Diddy's empire is boiling over. People are asking, how did someone with that much power allegedly get away with all this for years? Meanwhile, Oprah Winfrey's doing some serious damage control. She's been working overtime to distance herself from the fallout.
There's a saying, when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong. Wait a minute, I'm not done now.
But critics are not letting her off easy. Known for promoting empowerment and standing up for women, Oprah's facing backlash for past ties to men like Harvey Weinstein and John of God. Voices like Rose McGowan and Seal haven't held back, calling her out for staying silent when it mattered most. They're accusing her of protecting the system instead of breaking it. And even though Oprah swears she didn't know what was going on back then, some people ain't buying it.
That's starting to come out in the early days of the Diddy trial. This, of course, is P. Diddy. Surprise, surprise, he's a creep. Surprise, surprise, he's done horrible things.
And for Denzel Washington, that silence, that lack of real accountability, might be exactly what's got him fired up, especially as a man who's always stood on faith and integrity. Denzel ain't just another Hollywood star. He walks with purpose. He's been all about faith, prayer, and staying grounded for nearly 30 years as a dedicated member of West Angeles Church of God in Christ. He even lent his voice to the Bible Experience, a major audio project of Scripture.
When the devil comes at you, maybe it's because you're trying to do.
In interviews, he's made it clear, acting ain't just about the fame. To him, it's ministry. His mission? Use his platform to uplift, not corrupt. So when you line that up with Diddy's wild, chaotic lifestyle, you already know it's a hard clash. And insiders say Denzel's been steering way clear of both Diddy and Oprah, not for petty drama, but because of what he sees as deep ethical differences. Rumor has it he's turned down collabs with both of them for years. The reason? He doesn't want his name tied to anything he feels doesn't align with his values.
Experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost.
It's not just speculation either. The cracks in their relationships have been showing for a while. No public blow-ups, but behind the scenes, quiet tension, shady distance, and private beefs that Hollywood insiders have whispered about for ages.
I didn't have anything against Oprah.
You just called her.
I'm gonna tell you why.
You named your dog Oprah, didn't you?
Yeah.
Folks say Denzel's been side-eyeing Oprah for years, calling her out, in private, for pushing progressive messages in public, but allegedly still rolling with powerful men accused of serious misconduct. And when it comes to Diddy, Denzel's alleged disgust for the mogul's behavior might have been the final straw. No shouting matches, no headlines, just a slow, cold pullback. Now, with scandal after scandal exploding, that silence is speaking louder than ever.
As by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things.
And old alliances? They're straight up cracking under the pressure. As we peel back the layers of this twisted Hollywood drama, one thing's crystal clear. Denzel Washington sees himself as a man of real values in a city that runs on smoke and mirrors. He's not chasing clout. He's not bending for a paycheck. While everyone else is playing the game, Denzel's standing firm, refusing to trade his soul for status. That kind of integrity? Rare in an industry built on lies, money, and power. Whether folks agree with his take on Oprah and Diddy or not, his frustration speaks volumes. It's not just about them. It's about a bigger disappointment in the whole scene. A world he's thrived in for decades is now looking more fake than ever. As more dirt drops and secrets spill, the line between truth, image, and control, it's getting messier by the day. And it begs the question, who's really living their truth and who's just putting on a show? So far, Denzel's stance has shaken the table, but that's just the start. This whole thing spirals way deeper into a maze of power games, silence, and scandals that Oprah's been dodging for years. And that now threatens to bury Diddy completely. Let's talk Oprah. Her name's been stamped on empowerment and healing for decades. But the clean image? It's been shadowed by controversy. Take the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. It was meant to be a dream, a safe haven for the next generation. But then, boom, allegations hit. A matron was accused of inappropriate behavior with the girls. Even though she was later acquitted, the stain was already there, and people never forgot. Oprah called those allegations crushing, especially with her own history of childhood trauma. But not everyone's buying the sympathy act. Critics like Seal and Rose McGowan say Oprah's reactions have always been about keeping up appearances, not taking real accountability. Seal even went on Instagram, accusing her of knowing about Harvey Weinstein's behavior for years and staying silent. He straight up called her part of the machine that shields predators. And Rose? She didn't hold back either, saying Oprah's as fake as they come, smiling next to men like Weinstein and Russell Simmons, then turning around to lead the Me Too movement. To folks like Denzel, that's not just hypocrisy. That's a straight-up betrayal of everything he stands for. Faith, truth, and integrity aren't just words to him. They're how he lives. Now let's flip to Diddy. Because if being accused is bad, being associated with someone deep in scandal might be worse. Right now, A-listers are in panic mode, running from Diddy's name like it's on fire. Attorney Tony Busby, who's repping over 120 alleged victims, is turning up the heat. He's already fired off demand letters to celebs who were spotted at Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, warning that even if they weren't directly involved, just being there could land them in court. The message is loud. Silence equals complicity. Now, some of these big names are scrubbing the internet, deleting old photos, wiping captions, cutting ties publicly before lawsuits come knocking. And then there's Tanaya Wallace, who made jaws drop when she claimed she saw minors at one of Diddy's parties. His legal team came out swinging, calling her story shaky and slamming her credibility. But with the pressure building, even denials aren't putting out this fire. But the real fear? It ain't just about public image anymore. It's about what's coming next. If prosecutors prove there was a long-running pattern of coercion, control, and exploitation, the fallout could rock Hollywood harder than anything since the Weinstein takedown. And one of the most disturbing stories comes from Dawn Richard. You remember her from Making the Band? And her long history working with Diddy. In her 2023 lawsuit, she laid it all out. She says she endured years of psychological abuse, manipulation, and even physical mistreatment under his so-called mentorship. According to her, Diddy ran his empire like a trap. Always watching, always controlling. Dawn says she was cut off from friends and family, forced into obedience, and constantly threatened with career destruction if she didn't fall in line. It wasn't just chaos. It was a system. A setup where being loyal meant survival, and speaking out meant career suicide. Her claims were the first to frame Diddy not just as a party king gone too far, but as a strategic manipulator. Someone who groomed rising stars and used his power to lock them into submission. And then there's the case of Jane Doe 15. A name that sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Her documents say she was just 17 when she ended up at one of Diddy's Vegas parties back in 2014. Her story? Absolutely chilling. She says she was pressured into intimate acts with multiple men while Diddy allegedly sat back watching, even directing. She claims she was handed booze, despite being underage, and felt trapped, with security and Diddy's entourage making any exit impossible. Her voice joins a growing chorus of young women painting the same terrifying picture, a pattern of targeting the vulnerable and dragging them into a world they never agreed to. What makes this even darker is the testimony of a former Bad Boy Records employee who chose to stay anonymous out of fear. And honestly, can you blame them? This insider claimed Diddy kept a steady rotation of assistants, mostly young women chasing their big break in the music industry. But instead of helping them rise, he allegedly turned their dreams into leverage. These women were expected to be on call 24/7, no questions asked. They had to show up at private homes, luxury hotels, and work events that felt more like setups. According to the source, even hesitating to follow through on Diddy's requests could get you fired on the spot, or worse, blacklisted across the whole industry. This wasn't just about abuse behind closed doors. It was about control on every level. The whole setup allegedly created a twisted ecosystem of fear and dependence, letting Diddy call the shots without anyone daring to push back. Then came Bianca Estelle, a model and rising actress who met Diddy back in 2010 at a glitzy LA event. What started as a promising connection quickly turned toxic. She says he began tracking her phone, controlling what she wore, and punishing her for anything he viewed as disobedient. It got physical. Bianca testified that one night in a Miami hotel, Diddy blew up over a late text reply and assaulted her so badly she needed medical help for the bruises. That wasn't even the worst of it. She said Diddy would regularly call his women property, making it clear that in his world, love meant ownership. But maybe the most chilling claim yet? A minor allegedly being present at one of Diddy's parties in the early 2000s? That's a whole new level of disturbing. And the kind of allegation that takes this scandal into even darker territory. Tanaya Wallace, a former guest at several of Diddy's infamous events, dropped one of the most disturbing claims yet. She testified that she saw a teenage girl being led into a private room by Diddy and two of his associates. She couldn't see what happened behind closed doors, but what she did hear? Screams. And when that girl came out, Wallace said she looked shaken, crying, and scared out of her mind. Of course, Diddy's legal team jumped in fast, denying everything and attacking Wallace's credibility. But prosecutors say her story lines up with a bigger, uglier pattern. A system built on grooming, fear, and silence, especially when it comes to young, vulnerable girls. If even part of this holds up in court, it could flip the whole case into a full-blown disaster for Diddy. Now let's shift, because this brings us right back to that double standard. Oprah's been the face of truth and empowerment for decades. She's the one who sat on national TV and told the world, enough is enough. But where was she when people were quietly warning about Harvey Weinstein? Where was she when women like Rose McGowan were getting shut down, paid off, or threatened? Let's not forget John of God, the so-called Brazilian healer Oprah once hyped as inspiring. She gave him a spotlight, praised his work, and helped turn him into a global sensation. But guess what? He was later convicted after hundreds of women came forward accusing him of assault. So the question is, did Oprah know? Could she have known? And if she didn't, does that make her clueless? Or just another power player who looked the other way to protect her brand? As for Denzel Washington, word is, he's disgusted. Disgusted that someone can preach about justice while still cozying up to men facing serious accusations. To him, integrity ain't about what you say in interviews. It's about who you stand with when nobody's watching. Hollywood's got a dark habit. Morals get tossed to the side when fame and money enter the room. Scandals vanish behind big checks, NDAs seal lips shut, and folks who dare to speak out, they get ghosted, blacklisted, or worse. But Denzel Washington? He's not playing by those rules. By refusing to work with powerhouses like Oprah and Diddy, he's sending a message most wouldn't dare to voice out loud. Whether people see it as brave or just plain bold, one thing's clear. Denzel ain't compromising. Not for status, not for clout, and definitely not to keep the peace. In a town where silence is survival, his stand is rare. Think that's dramatic? Just ask Monique. She called out Oprah for blackballing her after she didn't show up for a press tour on Precious. And remember that viral moment where Dave Chappelle supposedly called Oprah a handler for the Hollywood elite? That clip got fact-checked and labeled misleading, but the damage was already done. The public still sees Oprah as someone who picks her battles based on power, not principle. People are starting to notice that Oprah's brand of activism only seems to show up when it protects her image or aligns with her narrative. And Denzel? He's over it. Now let's talk about Diddy. As of now, he's locked up in a federal cell, staring at a possible sentence that could stretch decades if convicted. His third bail hearing is coming fast, and despite offering a $50 million bond, yeah, 50 mil, prosecutors are saying no way. Why? They say he's been playing games even inside jail, allegedly passing notes to his people, asking them to dig up dirt on the accusers. If true, that's not just desperation. That's a whole new level of shady. Now Oprah's polished image? It's starting to crack, and the ghosts from her past are clawing their way back louder than ever. And Denzel? He's watching it all from the sidelines, untouched, unfazed, maybe even thinking, good thing I stepped away when I did. But let's be real. Just because someone's quiet doesn't mean they're clean. In this town, everybody's hiding something. The only real question is, who's gonna get exposed next? So what's the truth here? Is Denzel really the last man in Hollywood standing on principle? Or is he just playing the role a little too well? And Oprah? Is she guilty of picking and choosing her outrage when it fits her brand? Or is she just another powerful name trying to survive a system that punishes truth? And Diddy? Is this the collapse of one man's empire? Or are we witnessing the start of a way bigger shakeup in the industry? Sound off in the comments. Drop your theories, your receipts, your heat. And if you're trying to keep up with every twist in this wild saga, hit that subscribe button right now. Because in Hollywood, no secret stays buried forever.